Thank you so much for joining us. This is All Angles. It's our first program for 2025. It's our annual Young Achievers special. I always say it's one of my favorite programs for the entire year. Stay tuned because you're about to meet four amazing young Jamaicans.
With all the experience, with all the community service you've done, is if there's one piece of advice that you would share to any young girl, young boy who may be watching, any person overall who may be wondering, should they take that next step to help in their community, to build a fence around those who may need support, what would that one piece of advice be?
Okay, so there's a quote, and if I'm remembering it correctly, it says that your service to the community is the rent that you pay for your time here on earth. And that is something that has propelled me because I believe that we live to inspire.
So you are watching there a clip from an interview that the 2025 Rhodes Scholar Aundrene Cameron did with Javon Keys after receiving a Governor General Achievement Award, and she's my special guest. Thank you so much for talking to us and for coming in. It's so good to have you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
So you said there that you live to inspire. We heard you talking to Keys and you said you live to inspire. Looking through all the material I've seen on you though, there seems to be a theme that you're especially interested in inspiration or inspiring women and young girls. Would that be correct?
Yes, that's 100% correct.
Now, one of the things that you've said is that a lot of the projects you work on, and we're going to be talking more about that in a moment, have to do with the fact that you said you're from Spanish Town. You said that's been viewed as one of the greatest and criminal hotspots for trafficking and abductions. And you said growing up, you see a lot of situations where women have been sexually assaulted, raped, and subjected to gender-based violence. Is there a specific incident, though, that comes to mind that really made you say, this is something I want to focus on, this is something I want to change?
Yes, 100%. And it's actually an incident that was, I guess you can say it was resolved recently, but it was a Daniel Rowe incident. I remember somewhere in the process of preparing for the Miss Jamaica Festival Queen project, national project, and I was thinking of the idea, that incident happened. And I remember it hit me to the core because we're now seeing the increase of violence against not just women, but our very young girls. And it hit me to the core because I can't even imagine how helpless and hopeless they feel to be at such a young age and know that they have a friend or colleague who has been slaughtered. And that really hit. And that was one of the moments where I said, I need to do something that can allow other persons to feel empowered, to allow young girls to feel a bit safer, because I don't think that we as women or girls are able to truly live if we have to constantly be in fear of our lives.
And the Daniel Rowe situation was a case where an 8-year-old child, in fact, was killed by somebody close to her father because of a situation between the father and the killer. Have you yourself ever felt threatened or in that kind of danger?
Yes, I have actually, and there was a point where I was taking public transportation, and that is very common. And the way that, for example, even the conductors speak to you, or when you're on the road and they're trying to grab you.
The conductors speak to you like what?
How they're always catcalling you, or sometimes saying things like talking about your body, saying what they want to do to you and things like that. And I remember even once I was in a taxi and I had to be fighting for the taxi driver to actually stop where I wanted him to stop. And when you're in the taxi and you're seeing that the taxi is just getting empty and things like that, you do become fearful. And so it's scary being in such situations because you know that that's how it happens for a lot of persons. They're just on their way home, on their way to work, on their way to school, something as simple as that, and that can result in your life being taken from you. So you always have to be on high alert. And
as a woman?
Yes, and as a girl especially, no.
No, you, as I mentioned, you're 2023 Festival Queen, and I'll talk about how you got there in a moment. But your national project was Girls Who Fight Back.
Yes.
And I actually love the title because it's not just girls fighting back or, fighting back, girls who fights back. Even the title itself seems designed to empower.
Yes, exactly. That was, and the catchphrase or the slogan is "hands off for girls," and that was intentional because I don't want women to continue to feel like victims. I want women to feel empowered and know that there is something that we are able to do in order to help ourselves and in order to see how we can to be in better situations and to see how we can get out of dangerous situations and be on high alert. And especially for young girls, I think that's very important. So things like kidnapping, human trafficking is something that is a very huge market in Jamaica. And teaching young girls basic techniques like even how to get out of a hand grip. There's a technique for that. If somebody grabs you from behind, you can crouch, you hold on to their leg and you pull it through. These are techniques that a lot of us don't know and we don't learn growing up. And so it gives this level of empowerment to our young girls.
So how young are the girls you work with?
So the project has been in relation to, that's a primary level. So I've been working with girls within that level. So in the younger, so around grades, that's 3, 4.
Wow, that's young.
Yeah, it's young.
And a lot of girls in particular, much more so than boys, were taught to be nice.
Yes.
You know, if somebody is approaching you, even if you feel threatened, you think it'll go look bad if you pull away or if you walk away. So how do you push past that natural instinct that many of us as girls and women have to be the nice person?
I think it comes with changing your mindset. As you said, we're cultivated or we believe that we have to fit into spaces. I believe that I am made to take up space. So we teach men to take up space, for example, but we teach women to minimize themselves to fit into certain spaces. It's a mindset shift. And so you have to constantly tell yourself that I have boundaries. Those boundaries are to be respected. I have autonomy. And when you're able to teach young girls that as well, especially from a young age where they're impressionable, you're able to teach them to change that mindset so that they don't continue to go through life thinking that their boundaries are too rigid or that they don't have the right to say no. That it teaches them that they can actually speak out for themselves and prevent them from being hurt.
Is there a particular girl you can think of who has, undergone the training and you've actually seen a change in how she maybe held herself or approached the world or just from the start to the end of the training?
So I actually have seen that. However, the project, how I've been doing it so far has just been workshops. So like a full day workshop. What I want to do is to actually have continuous training sessions. But even in that space of a day, I remember when I started this, I started with a game. It was a never have I ever. And you'd have been heartbroken. So I was saying things like, never have I ever felt afraid to take a taxi. Never have I ever felt like my life was at risk. And these are young girls. Again, remember, like grade 4, younger. And they're putting down their fingers as they're saying that they are afraid of these things. And I remember at the end of one session, one of the girls was actually saying that this was something that was so helpful for her because she's been in situations before where boys at school are holding her down and trying to bring her places, and she didn't know that there was a way that she could, for example, get out of that grip, things like that. So she was saying that she was so happy that I did something like this because it taught her so much, and there are things that a lot of times they didn't even think about. So now when you give them these practical tips of how they can come out of certain situations, it helps them to feel more empowered. And even at the end of the sessions, I did some affirmations. So I told them to say, I am strong, I am brave, I can defend myself. And when you're cultivating that mindset in them, it really helps them to move from this place of being a victim and being afraid to take up space to a point where they are able to take up space and feel empowered.
Why did you enter Festival Queen in the first place?
I saw beautiful examples of Festival Queens before me. And I wanted to be able to contribute to that as well. And I wanted to use a platform to show other women and girls how we can send the elevator down for other women and girls and how we can do things that can help women and girls overall in Jamaica to feel safe and to create a better environment, and also to set an example of women are versatile. So yes, I can be a beauty queen, but I can also be a scholar. And yes, I can be a scholar and I can also give back to my community. I can give back to my community and be a creative, a dancer. And I wanted to set that example as well of versatility so others could see that.
Now, in terms of the Rhodes Scholarship now, like our most prestigious academic award, you were valedictorian at UA for your law class, first class honors. You're at Norman Mandel Law School. And yet I read that you kind of had to be persuaded to enter for Rhodes.
Yes.
No, you have to tell me that because this sounds like on the one hand you're talking women empowerment and taking up space, and yet on the other hand, brilliant as you are doubting your own abilities there. Was that what happened?
So that's how it is sometimes in life. I shift between the two a lot, and it's something that I'm working on, but Rhodes was just so huge to me. And there are some goals that they just scare you. In fact, it wasn't even a goal for me until that very application period because I wasn't sure if I was capable. And so it did take some encouraging, and I did know I was qualified, but being qualified and having it are two different things. So it did take some pushing, but I am so grateful that I actually made that jump.
I can imagine. What was that moment like when they told you you're the Rhodes Scholar?
I just immediately said, thank you, God. I was in shock. I actually had to just stand there for a minute, soaking it in, saying, whoa, this is real. We did this. It was a beautiful moment, and I am so, so, so grateful.
You want to do at Oxford an MSc in Criminology and Criminal Justice and an MPhil Master of Philosophy in Law with a focus on human trafficking. Does that also tie back now to your desire to work with women and girls?
It does. It does.
So what are you hoping to do with that?
I'm not sure exactly where I will end up, but I know the goal. And the goal is to help to create a space where we're able to minimize human trafficking and also to prevent it and to allow the persons who have actually been victims of human trafficking or, for example, sexual exploitation, prostitution and so forth, to be able to still feel empowered, to know that there is a way out of it.
Have to leave it there. Thank you so much for talking to us. That's Aundrene Cameron, the 2025 Rhodes Scholar. Stay tuned. We'll be back.